Hello, everyone out there in podcast land. This is your host, Severin Henderson, again for another episode of Department 3C Presents, a podcast connected to fire. Before we get the episode started, I just wanted to give a quick overall view of what it is I do, because a lot of people keep saying, what is it that you do and what are you offering? What is our call to action? What do you want to happen? Well, let me start off by telling you this. I am a business consultant. I am a life coach. I am a public speaker, and I am a marketing consultant. So if you need anything to do with business of any type, please reach out to me. My email address is info@d3cpresents.com. That's info@d3cpresents.com. And at the same time, I want to speak to you and I want to be able to get you going in the right direction with any business that you need going. In addition to that, we have a phone number and we have an office that you can come to and visit us if you schedule an appointment. Our telephone number is 1-855-969-3538. You can expect to see a number from us there if you ever want to reach out. And the website is www.d3cpresents.com. And we look forward to speaking to you and serving you in any way we can. And always remember, we're here when you need us. Hello, everyone out there in podcast land. This is your host, Severin Henderson, back again with another episode of Department 3C Presents, a podcast connected to fire. Today, I have the opportunity to speak with a friend and someone I've known for longer than 20 years. I mean, we only kept touch over social media, which is why social media is so beautiful. But at the same time, we started off going to class together in the 9th grade all the way through the 12th grade. We graduated together, and this young lady has gone on to make a career out of mental health and behavioral wellness that I truly envy. And I put a call to action out for podcast guests, and I was talking about how people are like stray cats and they won't show up. And she hit me up. She said, "Hey, what you doing is pretty good, and I would like to come on and talk about it, get myself outside of that comfort zone, and I want to get going, and I wanted to help." So it all worked out. Camille, how are you today?
Yes,
Man?
I'm doing correction. We
Okay.
actually were in elementary school together. I think in my kindergarten class, you're in that picture.
Oh,
So,
snap.
mm-hmm. And did you go to Nathaniel Hawthorne? Were you?
Nope, I didn't go to Nathaniel Hawthorne.
No, you were not. Okay. So, but definitely elementary school, you're in some of my pictures.
Okay,
So,
I'm sorry. Well, I apologize for that. I remember the high school days more than I
yeah.
can remember back to those days. But you know what? The thing is, you were so quiet. Like,
Mm-hmm. I was. And I actually remember senior year, like most popular, this or that. And so I was voted quietest
yep.
and prettiest hair.
Yes.
And we took that corny picture in the library. Yeah.
Yeah, I was on the
hmm
yearbook committee and rounding everybody up for things. So, yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, now I have the
So,
opportunity to get all of that quietness up out of you and have you talk on this podcast, because it's all about talking. So tell us what you've been up
okay.
to, what you've been doing, what you have going on, all that other good stuff.
hmm So I've been a mental health provider for about like 14 years, so since like 2007. But I went back to school in 2014 to get my master's to become a licensed mental health provider, a therapist. So I've been officially a licensed therapist since 2017. So that's what I've been doing.
Okay, so 17,
Yeah.
18, 19, 20, 21. So but good 4 or 5 years.
hmm
How's
Coming
that
up on 5 years. Yeah.
how's that career been going for you? And you moved out of Ohio too, because that's another thing that I talk to people
Yeah.
about.
So I moved out of Ohio, I think So I went to University of Cincinnati right after high school.
Hmm.
And then after that, I moved back home because I got my degree in something. How many of us get our degree in something that we don't use, right? So
Exactly.
business economics. Went back home, kind of gathered myself, went to Cleveland State for a little bit, and then I went to grad school in DC. So I left in '05 and
Okay.
moved to DC. Um, and so I got my first degree. I was actually going to school to be a school psychologist, but then life happened. So I did not finish. Um, and so then I kind of sat out for a little bit, a few years to kind of collect myself, figure out what I wanted to do. My intention was to go back and finish my degree. But in 2010, preparing to come, actually came back to Ohio. I was going to live with my mom. Um, and I was going to go to John Carroll and finish my school psych degree. And then my mom died
Oh, okay.
unexpectedly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what, and that's what I
Um,
was gonna say because I remember the John Carroll part of the story, and I don't remember where I knew that from because I was supposed to go there too for half a second, and I remember what you said about your mom. So even
mhm.
though through this
Yeah.
time, we're very sorry to hear about that.
Thank you. Yeah, but that kind of changed the trajectory of everything because my husband, I was going to start school, find a job. We were two kids in at that point. And then she died, and I just, like, life just stopped
Yeah,
for me. And I went back to Maryland and just was a stay-at-home mom for like several years before I got back into working. And so then I was a mental health provider in Arlington County, Virginia. So I did that for about 3 years, and then my husband got a promotion. It's raining here, so you might hear thunder.
no, it's fine.
Um, but okay, so my husband got a promotion down here in North Carolina, and he went to college here. He played ball down here at a college outside of Raleigh. So we moved here, purchased our home, and we've been here ever since. So about 8 years. Yeah.
That's wonderful to hear, and
Hmm.
it's so beautiful to hear that you were able to bounce back from such a tragedy. I know we all expect to lose parents at some time or another, but it's like when it
Hmm.
does happen, it's like it just hits us
Yeah.
like no other. I had the same thing happen when I first moved here to Chicago to be a firefighter. Me and my dad would
Hmm.
talk on the phone all the time. He's like, "Oh, I can't wait to come up here.
Yeah.
I can't wait to come up there." Next thing you know, he passed away unexpectedly. So very understandable.
Yeah. And it's hard. I actually because I do so on the weekends I do private practice. During the week, Monday through Friday, I can't say who I work for. I am not allowed to say that
Oh,
out loud, like
we don't need to
say
know.
what but I work with I work with veterans with PTSD during the week. But on the weekend I have my own private practice.
Mhm.
And today I actually my last session for the day, um, my client, her dad died today,
Oh, okay. Yeah,
right?
that's very sad to
So
hear.
it was kind of like, right? So processing it's hard. Like it's a hard loss, especially I think when it's unexpected, like when you're not expecting it.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, it's a hard space to be.
I would say that's definitely harder than kind of knowing.
Hmm.
You know, you kind of
Right.
expect your grandparents to go before you and everything, and you kind of prepare to know, okay, they're
Hmm.
older. This is my time with them. But when
Yeah.
a parent that's close to you when you're young just goes unexpectedly, it's a lot
Hmm.
harder tragedy to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah. I will say it's really odd to me. Like um, it was unexpected when it happened. And I feel like my mom was preparing me my whole entire life for that moment. She was born with a congenital heart defect. She was an identical twin. Her twin died at 4 months. And but my mom struggled. She was sick her whole life. And so I remember being a child and her always saying, like if I pass away, this is where I want you to live.
Okay.
This is who I want you to be with. Um, she would say, I really hope I live long enough to see you graduate from high school and to see you graduate from college and to see you have children, right? Um, she would always say, like, if I pass away, the way I came in is the way I want to go out. Don't donate my organs. Don't do XYZ. If I need life support, don't sustain life that way. That's not what I want. So when it actually happened, it was a gift because she prepared me. And it was peace in the sense that she got to see me graduate from high school. She got to see me get my undergrad degree and one of my masters. She got to see two of her grandchildren. And my daughter was 3 months when she passed. My daughter was born on her birthday.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
hmm
Don't start that
yeah.
on me. I've been sitting here talking to people for a long time. You're gonna make me tear up. Well, if you see the video, I'm already tearing up. But that's beautiful. That's absolutely
Yeah.
positively beautiful. Your only child?
hmm I am. Believe it. So there's okay. So let me tell you this crazy story really quickly.
Okay.
So have you heard of Ancestry? You heard of Ancestry.com, right?
Absolutely.
Ancestry? Okay. So 2014, a long time ago, I was like doing surveys and stuff, and so they sent me a kit to do for free. And so I did the DNA kit for free. I did, I wasn't gonna pay for it, but they sent it, so I did it. And so it sent because I wasn't sure is it legit, whatever. So came back, and so over the years, a lot of my family has started to take the test. So Father's Day weekend, I get a message from someone who says, "Hey, I'm adopted, but we just matched as close family members, as either siblings and or first cousins." And I was like, okay. And it was this young man. And I looked at him and I could tell he was family just from looking at him.
Mm-hmm.
So we compared notes. I actually thought he was on my mom's side. His adoptive parents grew up a street over. They grew up on Guardian, a street over from my grandparents on Brookfield. So I'm like, well, it must be one of my uncles, right? Because he knew who
Yeah.
his mother was. So like, it must be one of my uncles from my mom's side, and he favored one of my uncle's kids. But then we started comparing relatives that we had in common. He turned out to be on my dad's side, and we determined that it was either going to be my father, because my dad's a twin too. Fun fact: my mother is identical twin. My dad's
Oh
fraternal.
my God.
Um,
that's that's
so,
that's
so
that's very interesting.
right. So it turned out it was going to be between my dad being his father and my uncle. And so I was so excited because I'm like, oh my gosh, I might have a brother. Like I was so ecstatic. No. So it turned out to be my cousin, not my brother, but still another family member just the same. But yes, I said all that to say I'm an only child. As a kid, I was okay with it because what I didn't want to share, I got everything I wanted, right? But as an adult, you're an only child too?
Yes, that's why I could
Yeah.
hear it. That's why I could pick up on it.
hmm Yeah, but as an adult, I wish I had a sibling. It
Yeah.
can get lonely sometimes, right? Because your siblings, like I have three children, and we always tell them hold each other down, make sure make sure each other's okay. Like you guys are going to be together longer than you're going to have mommy and daddy, right?
Yeah.
So I have friends. They're close friends. I have a lot of good friends I've had for years. However, they're not obligated to check on me, right?
I totally understand that, and I don't know if you remember
Yeah.
Troy, from high
hmm
school.
I do.
That
Yeah.
is my BFF, my brother for life. I have Troy on some of my like beneficiary stuff. So if
Oh,
something
wow.
if something
Yeah.
happened to me, that's the dude that gets it. Now don't knock me off and then try and hold up Troy and try and get it up out of him. Not you. I'm talking about the
Right.
people in
People
the
listening.
audience. But yeah, I know I know what you're saying. I know what you're going through. Like when you don't have
hmm
siblings. Like when you young, it's cool. Yeah, I'm the only dude to come to the
hmm
school with these new J's on and
Yeah.
everything else. And but then when you get old, you wish you could trade all that in for somebody to lean on. But I have a lot of good friends and family, like my aunts. Um, that was the other thing I was gonna say, because one thing they said to me just the other day, they said I was doing something for my mother. They said, "Well, she been our sister longer than she been your mother, so get out of here." So
Mhm. We sometimes forget, and I have that discussion with a lot of my clients sometimes. It's like when we get caught into that like trauma cycle about things that happened to us and things we couldn't control and the people who were responsible for taking care of us didn't do what they were supposed to do. I always remind them they had lives before you, right? They were people before they were your parent,
yep,
right? And you have to extend the grace and the understanding that they had a life story before you existed.
yep,
And at some point, get into the space of empathy at the just being human beings, right? I always tell my clients, like when I meet them and we're trying to figure out if I'm the right therapist for them, I always say, I'm human first. I'm human first. So I'm not perfect. I'm going to make mistakes. The important thing is to bring it into the room when we're having therapy so that it doesn't become an interfering behavior in the work you're trying to do. And I think realizing that your parents are human first.
yes, that's a huge thing. That and
Yeah.
something that, like you said before, they said that to me. It's and as old as I am, they just said that to me like 2 weeks ago, and it made me
Yeah.
realize, yeah, this woman has been a person before I came along, and it's
Hmm.
hard for us to think
Yeah.
that, but it's the case.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. I used to call my mom, like we talked like 10 times a day, and sometimes she wouldn't pick up. And I would be like, the audacity, like, what are you doing? That's more
What are you?
important than me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
and that makes total sense. Well, thank you for sharing all of that super story with us.
Hmm.
That just speaks to the volume of your role as a person in this world right now. I mean, you are a
Hmm.
mental health professional. That's what I like to talk about and discuss on my show a lot. So let me ask you
Hmm.
this: how did you end up in
Yeah.
that role? Just not
As
what
a,
you went through like school wise, but
uh
just how did you know that you
yeah.
wanted to be a mental health professional?
Um, that's a good question. Uh, I think like that's a good question. Um, I remember it was my junior year of college, and I was applying for the LSAT to go to law school. But I had an odd job. You know how in college you have odd jobs. So I
Yep.
was working at a daycare. I was working at a nursing home, in the kitchen of all places, washing dishes and stuff. But I loved connecting with the children, right? And then at the nursing home, I was in dietary in the kitchen, but during my breaks, I would go sit out in the living. I wasn't supposed to either, but I would go sit out in the dining area with the residents. And I remember there was one resident, Miss Coates, and I would always sit and talk to her, and she would tell me like how life was when she was younger, and she liked making jewelry. And I would sit there while she would put together her necklaces and make all of her jewelry. And it was just something about connecting with people, and really just like wanting them to be heard because I would see them sitting out there by them, and then the nurses or the CNAs would keep them out in the dining area for so long, and they couldn't go back to their rooms until they came to push them back, and so they would just sit there by themselves. So I just love to kind of just sit with them and and just have conversation and just connect with them on a human level. The children too, like getting on their level and just understanding. When children have a bad day, when they're acting out, it's because they're having a bad day, right? And they don't have the words to communicate it. And so that was when I knew. And then I had a psych one-on-one class and I fell in love with it. So I was like, maybe I should be doing this. And I remember calling my mom and my dad because I was ahead. I was graduating early because I would take classes during the summer.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was almost done. And then I told my parents, I don't think I want to be a lawyer. Like, I think I want to be a psychologist.
I think
And
that
they were like,
suits you
oh
so
my
much better.
gosh. So let me tell you. So then after I called my parents and they were just like, "Oh my gosh, what are you doing? You're almost done." I called my dad's mom. I'm really close to my grandmother. She's still living. She's my only grandparent living still. She's 89. And I called her and I said, "Grandma, so what do you think if I don't go to law school and I go to school to be a psychologist?" And so she called, she was like, "Walter," my grandfather, she's like, "Camille said she's not gonna go to law school. She's gonna go be a psychologist." And they said, "Oh, thank God, because you were not gonna be a good lawyer. That was not meant for you."
Yes. Yes.
Right?
I agree. I was just going to say to you, you did not talk at all. And this is the most I've heard from you in 20
Yeah.
years. And I was all over the place. I talked to everybody. I was just all over the place.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
just to see the woman that you've become and all that you have to offer to the world is so refreshing and so beautiful to see, because you would have them J's on and like the new ones too. And like, hey, like them new black and red shoes. And yeah, just shake your head and keep on going. And not that I
Hmm.
was trying to talk to you to do anything. I'm just trying to have
Right.
conversation, but that was just you.
Yeah. Hmm.
So yes,
Hmm.
I'm glad
It.
that you came to that
Hmm.
realization.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that part of my personality from my mom. She was very soft spoken. She didn't talk much. My dad is the complete opposite. He's like Mr. Extrovert. He has never met a stranger. He will make a friend in the grocery store line.
Yeah,
Like,
that's
right?
me. I talk to anybody about anything. My wife at times, and then I must have a friendly face because people come up to and just start talking to me, and I keep that conversation going. I said, "Why
Hmm.
you talk to all these crazy people all the time?" I said, "Cause they talking to me. What I'm supposed to do?" So
Yeah. And I'm the opposite. So because I suffer from RBF, right? Resting bitch face. So
no,
I'm the total opposite. You
no,
don't no, I do
no, I don't
actually.
think so. No,
Okay.
it's
I get it all the time.
just from people that don't know how to crack their shell, i.e., me. But anyway, we're going to keep on going and keep on talking to you about
Hmm.
your business. So, what advice would you want to give to somebody that's pursuing a career similar to the field that you're in now?
Um, Making sure that you do your own work so that you don't burn out so quickly, right? I always tell, I'm not at the place where I do supervision yet, but I have like had interns in certain places that I've worked. And I always say you have to be believable and you have to get buy-in from your clients. And the only way that's going to happen is if they know that you're walking your talk, right? They have to know that what you're asking them to do, that you are willing and able and also doing yourself. Um, so you have to be, when I was in grad school, I remember one of our professors, one of the things that I was told that was very helpful was great therapists have therapists. And if you are able and willing, you need to know what it feels like to sit on the other side of the couch. Um, and so I did that, and it's very beneficial, right? You have to know what it feels like to be on the other side. If you're going to ask someone to sit with you and be vulnerable, you have to be willing to do that yourself.
That is so true. I have same thing I heard from my, because I go to a therapist on my own.
Awesome.
I
Yeah.
have to get this stuff with this job that I have off my chest somewhere or another. And I would
Absolutely.
encourage people who are in the same job line profession do the same thing. So hopefully you
Yeah.
find somebody to talk to, even if it's not somebody professional.
Hmm.
You gotta do something with it. You can't just keep it to yourself at all.
Yeah. You have to release. I always talk about envisioning like a pressure cooker, right? And so things build up. And so, with a pressure cooker, you have the valve, right? And if you don't open it and let the steam out before you take the top off, it's gonna
it's
blow.
explode. Yep.
And it's so like it's so, especially I hate to pick on you guys, but especially men, right? Especially
It's
men,
quite all right.
right? It's so hard. It's so hard. I've had men that I've worked with, a veteran in particular that I worked with for a year before he trusted me, right? A whole entire year before he finally said, "Okay, you're not going anywhere,"
Yep.
right? So I can let you know what's really going on.
Yep. That's very understandable. And you talk about RBF. That's what I'm saying. I don't get it because I can sit there
May,
and talk to you for forever. I mean, we sitting here looking at each other over this Zoom,
Mhm.
well, StreamYard,
Yeah,
but
right. But it's a little bit of a different comfort level, even though we haven't seen each other in years, right?
hmm
But I know you, right? So it's a different comfort level,
okay.
um, than just someone I've never met before. Like put me in a room of other professionals and tell me to network, nightmare.
I can
Like
understand that.
nightmare. Small talk, not my thing.
I can see that from you. So, well, I, if you need ever at a time for free, just for you, I'll come and I'll be your voice for you. I'll just talk to everybody just around the
Okay,
whole party
that
just for
will
you
work.
and get you all the context and anything you
Hmm.
need all the time. So, um, what other question did I have for you? What is what keeps you going? That's kind of a because I know what keeps me going, so I would think it's the same for
Hmm.
you. What keeps you going to keep helping people in your mental health crusade?
Um, what keeps me going?
Yep.
Knowing, because like with therapy, we don't always see the work that we're doing, we and the goals that the clients are working towards. We don't always see it come to fruition. So that can sometimes be hard because we don't get that immediate gratification,
That
right, or validation from the work that we do.
I can see that.
I think getting the random, because at this point I've worked at several different agencies, and so I still have the same Google Voice number. So when I get the random text from like a client I worked with a year and a half ago that says, "Hey, I got custody of my son back," or "Hey, thank you so much. I finally got that job we were talking about. Like, I did it," or like I've been consistent with, getting out and doing XYZ and my depression's not so bad. Like just those random little texts, that's what keeps me going because I may not see them get the results that they want or meet the goal while we're working together, but to know that the seed was planted and they continue to do the work and to get those random messages every once in a while,
Yep.
it lets me know like the work I'm doing is worth it.
Okay. I am going to let you escape because I don't want to keep you for too long. It's been about 30 minutes talking to you, and I
Okay.
really appreciate you talking to me and speaking everything.
Hmm.
But I have a few more questions, just regular.
Okay.
As far as your
Hmm.
career goes, who would you say
Hmm.
was most influential to you to get like kind of get you going? Who helped you out the most besides your parents, your family? Like maybe
Hmm.
a teacher or somebody that you can say pushed you to really get going.
Um, And I guess like my first supervisor, when I had my first supervisor for practicum to be a therapist, she was very influential. She told me, um, find a niche, right? It's good to know a little bit about everything,
Mm-hmm.
but it's awesome to have expertise in one particular area. And so I honed in on trauma and anxiety and doing
Specialize.
dialectical behaviors. Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
become a
So her,
sniper.
I mean, and she was a boss. Like she was just covering like the outpatient services when I first started working there, and then she worked her way up to the clinical director of the whole company. while she was still like getting her doctorate. She was just like she was a motivator. She was a motivator for sure. Yeah.
Okay. Well, offline, I want to talk to you some more just personally. I'm telling you right
Mhm.
now for all the audience to hear about some of the trauma
Mhm.
things that I want to present to my audience a
Mhm.
little bit better.
Mhm.
But two more
Mhm.
questions, and then, like I said, I'll let you escape.
Okay. Okay.
What's a
Okay.
common myth about your profession that you would like to debunk? Anything that people think that you say, nope, that's not true.
Huh. Nope, that's not true. Um, hmm.
Yeah, I got the best
What do
questions
they?
ever.
That I know that's a good question. What is um I think the common misconception that's frustrating for a lot of us and as mental health providers is that there is a hierarchy in like in order to get the best treatment, you have to go to a psychologist who's a doctor. Like you have to go to someone who's a doctor, right? And then you have us master level clinicians. Um, we do the same thing,
I
right?
know.
It's just how they have a little they can assess, they can test you, like psychologists can give you testing, psychiatrists can give you medication. However, social workers, clinical social workers, licensed clinical social workers, and I'm a licensed mental health counselor, we have a lot of specialized we have a lot of specialized
We hanging out here after.
I
Yeah,
see.
this is the last show of the day. So, like I said,
Okay.
we're gonna have you
It
come
makes
on
me
as a repeat guest because this is what my
okay.
show is mostly about is mental health and everything
Mhm.
else. So,
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry, I
Okay.
didn't mean to stop you.
I don't remember what I was saying at this point,
You were
but
just talking
just
about.
basically, yeah, about the different levels. So basically that you get better treatment from someone who's a doctor versus someone who's a master level clinician. I kind of give the comparison of nurses and doctors, right? Like we do a lot of the heavy lifting, right? As masters, and not taken away from psychologists. They earn they earn that doctor behind their name, but I think sometimes we just get a bad rap as masters level clinicians.
I can see that from the layman's terms, like from somebody that doesn't have any idea what's going on. I can see that, and I
Hmm.
appreciate you debunking that fact because
Yeah.
more more times than you know, people think, and it's one other thing that I would like to debunk for you, and you can tell me if you agree or
Okay.
disagree. But people
Hmm.
think you go to a psychiatrist or psychologist and that they just fix you like you're a car or like you're
Oh,
a robot. Like you
yeah.
just tighten a
Hmm.
few screws, you
Hmm.
change a few parts out here, and
Hmm.
then they're ready to go back out to the world. Is that the case or
Yeah.
is that not the case?
It is not the case, right? People always say, I'm coming to you to tell me what to do. And I always say, that's not my job,
Yep.
right? I don't tell you what to do. It's kind of like there's a guy on social media on Instagram, Kier Gaines,
Not familiar. But I will
um,
look.
Keier. So yeah, he got really popular because he had this. He was walking down the street with his daughter. He was talking about becoming a father and making sure you do your own work and address your trauma before becoming a parent. It's really important. And so all these celebrities started following him. So he has a really big following on social media now. But he gave this analogy of he's also a licensed counselor. He's a therapist in the DC area. And so he gave this analogy of your therapist is kind of walking the path with you. Like you're hiking and they're walking the path. Our job is to clear the path so that you can keep going.
Ooh,
Right.
I like that.
And so that's what we do.
Ooh,
Right.
I
That's
wish
what we
I
do.
wish that was yours instead of his. But okay,
It's
I'm gonna
not
look
mine.
him
I
up.
have a couple analogies. Maybe next time if we do a part two, I have my own analogies, but that one right there is
Ooh, way to keep that thirst going. I'm with that. That's exactly what I want to hear. The last question, and now you got to come
mhm.
back. You have no choice. Like, even if I got to come and
Okay.
tell you and your
Okay.
husband, y'all got to come on and do it live right then and there, it's happening. But last question.
Yeah.
Is there anything that I should have asked you, but I didn't ask you?
What motivated me to step outside of my comfort zone?
Yes. Yeah, I should ask you that. Well, now you got to tell us.
Right. Yeah. I think again, just walking my talk. Like I'm always talking to my clients about it, you have to step out your comfort zone. You can't, if you want to see progress, if you want to see movement, if you want to see growth, you can't stay stagnant and you can't stay where you're comfortable. You have to push yourself past your limits sometimes. So when I tell you like my heart is beating and I'm warm and I'm hot and I'm anxious doing this, I always do it scared. And so I just like, I did it because I need to walk my talk.
That
Right.
is
And that's why.
you. I thank you so much. I really, really, really,
Yeah.
really, really, more than I can let you know, appreciate you coming on my show and talking to me and speaking with me.
Yeah.
You were phenomenal.
Okay.
No, you really are. Yeah,
I appreciate it. Okay.
every episode, I feel like I get a touch bit better until I get to be perfect, and I ain't never gonna hit that. So I'm just gonna get a little bit better each time. And this is about my 30-ish episode, and I'm gonna keep
Oh,
this in
really?
there.
Okay.
Yep, I'm gonna keep this in there.
Yeah.
But please share this with your clients, your customers, your friends, your family, anybody else. Just what you had to say offers so much value to my community and to your community, and I really appreciate you coming on. And yes, we are going to do this again as long as you feel comfortable.
Okay.
Was it okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was okay. I mean, again, I was nervous. I'm just like, oh my gosh, but yeah, I'm good. Yeah.
Okay.
The more you do it, the more you do it, you desensitize yourself. You take the power away from what scares you.
There you
Right.
go. And next time we're gonna get more personal. We talk about more personal, like my life, your
Okay.
life, friends, family, stuff
Yeah.
like that, and where you at, and all the other fun
Yeah.
stuff.
Absolutely.
It'll be fun stuff.
Okay. It was good to see you.
It was great
was
to
good
see
to see
you
you.
too. And thank you so much again. Like I
Yeah.
said, I'm keeping all this in, and
Yeah.
I'm going to end right now.
This has been a Fire and Iron Media production. You have something to say, people want to listen.